Hello, everybody. Welcome to Lunch with a Boxer. We're so excited to have you join us today. Just to go over a couple housekeeping things, we have Keith Buckley here, our athletic director, who's going to be giving us a short presentation and talk about athletics and all those great questions that are going to be coming in. We will go ahead and answer them at the end of the presentation. So throughout the presentation, though, feel free to go ahead and enter in all your questions in the chat. If you're feeling a little shy, you can go ahead and send it to me privately, and I'll make sure that your questions are asked anonymously. For those who are also joining us via YouTube on the recording, all of the links that we talk about, if there are any and any other follow-up questions, you can always reach out to any one of us here. But we are actually just going to wait a little bit. We do have a translator who's going to come in, and so we do have the Spanish audio services for those who need the translation. We're actually just on time here, so I might actually go ahead and get started. Keith, I think I'm just going to hand it off to you. We'll just go. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you, Gina, and welcome to everybody. And thank you for taking part of your lunch hour if you're here on the West Coast to talk a little bit about athletics at Pacific. If you're across the ocean in Hawaii, good morning, and thanks for sharing breakfast with us. So I love these opportunities, especially at this time of year, to talk a little bit about athletics, because so many of our prospective student athletes are in that decision-making mode or have already made their decision to join us. And so we're really excited to talk about kind of who we are and where we're going as a department, and get some of those questions that are still out there answered that you might have as you prepare to graduate and prepare to take that step to be here in the fall. So just really briefly, introduction of myself. I've been at Pacific. I'm in my 14th year. I came to Pacific originally to start the football program as the head football coach and spent a decade doing that. And then the fall of 2019 was my last year coaching, and stepped across the building to become the athletic director. And I've been doing that since. A good portion of that job was managing the pandemic, and really excited that this year we've been fully back, fully into schedules and participation, and really as close to normal as we can be coming out of a pandemic. And so really have found a home at Pacific myself, and I know our student athletes and coaches and staff that are here similarly feel that way about what they do at Pacific, both here in the athletic department, but also in the classroom and in the dorms and in the community. And so we really do love the whole of the experience that each and every one of our student athletes gets to be a part of while they're here. Pacific has this fall welcomed just a hair under 600 student athletes to campus in our 24 varsity sports and 5 junior varsity sports, and really a great community, a great experience, a great relational opportunity here to get to know a lot of people from a lot of different places. We have, I think we're up to 12 or 13 different states represented amongst our student body, and obviously Oregon, California, Hawaii, and Washington are our 4 major recruiting areas that we draw from, but Arizona, Colorado, Montana, Idaho. We have somebody from Maryland this year, somebody from Florida on a roster. So we do get a smattering from all over the country, which is really exciting to get to know folks from all over. So we are closing in on the end of our spring sports. So we have fall, winter, and spring sports, fall sport offerings, football, soccer, volleyball, cross country. In the winter, basketball, wrestling, and swimming. In the spring, baseball, softball, track, tennis, golf, rowing, lacrosse. And I should say track is an indoor and outdoor. So we have a winter indoor season on top of our outdoor varsity season. So opportunity abounds, not only to participate, but also support and cheer on your fellow classmates, fellow athletes here. And so really excited for what we're doing, where we're going. We had our best collective finish as a department ever last year. We just clinched a baseball championship last weekend. We're playing for a championship in tennis this weekend. Have a number of track athletes in 2 weeks at the conference championships that'll be battling for individual conference championships in their respective events. So there's a lot of success to be had, but more so than that, the number of individuals that are starting physical therapy school next year, starting occupational therapy school, or our business students who already have jobs secured prior to graduation. It really is an awesome opportunity to grow on and off the field. And every single one of our teams in the fall semester had above a 3.0 GPA. And overall, traditionally, student athletes have a higher GPA and graduate at a higher rate than non-student athletes. And so we truly feel like we are the best and the brightest, and really succeed in all things that we do on campus. So that is my welcome, my brief overview. Gina, I think we're showing the video tour, or maybe not.
I can definitely get that set up. Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's just a great kind of visual for us to kind of talk through some of the spaces where our teams are at, and where you'll be practicing and playing while you're here. So on top of all that, for those that are deposited or those that are committed to coming, there is a laundry list of checklist things that will come, and maybe I can touch on that a little bit later in the conversation for those folks. But I'm here and ready to answer any and all questions that may come up. I've been recruited by a coach to, I haven't heard from a coach, but I'm interested in playing. So ready and willing.
Awesome. So I have the video up here, and I did slow it down a little bit so you have time to kind of talk over it without having to rap through the video to try and keep up. So we'll go ahead and play this video, and Coach Buck here is going to go ahead and explain some of the facilities that we have for our student athletes.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. So our athletic department building is the Stoller Center, and that houses our offices, sports medicine, the fitness center, which is open to all students, athletes, and non-athletes. We have a separate weight room that you'll see here in a few minutes. But this is about 3,000 square feet of workout facility, both cardio, weight room. We did just replace all the racks and platforms this past fall. So these ones that are here in the pictures are the older ones. And we upgraded those and updated what we have to logo the plates and make it look a little more Boxer Nation-esque for us. But it is certainly well used and a great place for students to get down and get their workout in. Our coaches use a online strength platform called Team Builder. So many of you as athletes will get that workout from your coach, and it's right there on your phone. So whether you're here on campus or back at home over the summer working out, you'll be doing the workout exactly as the student athletes currently are. This is our Hall of Fame. Pacific is a very old, longstanding institution founded in 1849, and there's a long history of athletic participation, athletic success, conference championships, and postseason play. This is our basketball and volleyball gym, holds over 2,000 individuals. Center court is our competition court. This, again, we just 2 summers ago redid the entirety of the flooring, stripped it down, resurfaced it, updated to modernize it a little bit. Great venue for our students and fans. This is really a unique piece to our experience at Pacific. No other small school west of the Mississippi has an indoor field house like this. This is a 55-yard turf field that really every sport we have at some level utilizes, takes advantage of, and trains in. So whether it's actual practice, baseball and softball take infield in there. Up above here is a batting cage where they can do their hitting, or just doing plyo work, indoor soccer, those things. This is our kind of racks and platforms that is just off that field house. And this is athlete specific training space, or teams tend to do most of their team lifts, their team trainings in the field house and going in and out of what we call the box. We are incredibly well taken care of from a sports medicine perspective. We have 5 full-time athletic trainers. That's the most in the conference, and have both a rehab room and an athletic training room with all the modalities necessary to get you back out on the field to play as quickly as possible. We have a team orthopedic surgeon, team general practitioner. We employ the services of a chiropractor, a sports psychologist, as well as take on students from our graduate health profession programs to come and work with our students. As we step outside into Lincoln Park and Hanson Stadium, this is home of football, soccer, lacrosse, and track. Covered stadium, full HD video board in the stadium, and just a great venue for us to practice and play in. We have one of the premier pregame tailgate venues in the Northwest Conference on game days, and just a really kind of cool setting from the stands. As you look out past the turf field here, there's a sizable grass field that we use for some practices, but it's also our competition javelin hammer venue. And beyond that is baseball and softball fields. Right to the world's largest, tallest barber pole. Forest Grove had a longstanding barbershop quartet competition, and that was a gift from that to Lincoln Park. Chuck Bufaro Stadium is our baseball stadium. Again, one of the top facilities in the conference for baseball. We turfed the infield about 5 years ago now, which allows us to play about 20% more of the time without weather issues. Baseball just won their 3rd straight conference championship in a row. And then complementary to that is Sherman Larkin Stadium, which is our softball facility. Just 2 years ago, turfed the outfield with field turf. So this is grass picture here, but we ripped that out, put field turf in the outfield, tarp the infield to keep it dry and play. It was named one of the top Division III softball facilities in the country. So we do take great pride in our facilities, great pride in the enhancements that we've made in the last decade or so, and are really excited about some of the projects that we're looking to do into the future. By no means are we a finished product and standing on our laurels with some of those facility successes we've had. We want to continue to grow, improve, and enhance. One of the facilities that we didn't get to see on this is our tennis facility, which is kind of in the middle of campus near the dorms. We have 3 indoor courts, 3 outdoor courts. And then just across from the Stoller Center is our facility that we use for our swimming team as well. So a lot of facilities, a lot of athletes, a lot of sports, and great opportunities to be successful in all that we do.
So there's a lot of support from just the families around here, the community, and our alumni, and so it's always so great to see all of that. And we did get a few questions, and so I'm just going to go through them in the order in which I got them. And the first question that we received was housing for student athletes. Is there a separate housing building for just students, or are they mixed in? Can you kind of go into a little bit of detail on the housing portion?
Yeah, so the easy answer is we're all mixed up. There is not an athletic specific dorm, and I really think that that's important and a positive experience for you as a student athlete to get to know musicians and theater performers and artists and engineers and everybody that might not have the same interests that you do. That's part of going away to college and seeing a different side of your experience. But what we do in athletics is almost all of our programs will pair up teammates to be roommates. And your coach in your sport will help facilitate that, and will identify through the recruiting process, hey, I think you will match very well with this individual. It's not a requirement that you live with a teammate. If you know somebody from your hometown or your history that's coming and you want to live with that person, by all means do so. But what we've found over time is living with a teammate puts you on a same schedule. It allows you to know where you're going to be and what you need to do and kind of navigate the ups and downs of that first year as a student athlete together with somebody who's having a very similar experience. So one of the most challenging things is, if you have some morning workouts as an athlete and you get a non-athlete roommate that stays up till 2:00 in the morning playing video games, that can cause some strife. So putting a teammate together creates some accountability. It creates some common experience that makes it that much more valuable.
Thank you. And on the topic of being on campus, Movein Dates. So one of the questions that we got is, my student will be playing a fall sport. I'm assuming that they will need to be on campus a little bit earlier for practice. When will students know what their Movein Dates will be, especially for those who need to be a little bit earlier in the for fall athletes?
Yeah, fall sport athletes, football is the first arrival, and they will arrive either August 9th or 10th, depending on location where they're coming from. And the football coaches will reach out and kind of help navigate that with the individuals. And then volleyball, cross country, and soccer will come the 18th or 19th, again, depending on kind of where you're coming from and the distance. And each of the coaches will help navigate that as well. Winter sport and spring sport athletes, you will show up on the traditional move-in day for orientation, which I believe is Thursday, August 24th, 5th. I've got it right here. 24th. So winter and spring athletes will show up on the 24th, go through orientation, and then start classes that following Monday. So fall sport athletes, you get a little bit of an advantage. You get to know your teammates and your fellow freshman athletes with nothing else really going on campus for a week or so. And that really creates some positive bonds, some positive connections going into the school year. And you really kind of become the vet when everybody else moves in and wants to know where the mail room is or where the food is and all those things. So it's a real benefit. But we do the Sunday before school starts, we do an all athlete welcome. So we'll bring all returning athletes and all new athletes into a meeting to meet their teams and just see kind of what our athletic department is and the excitement around it. So hopefully that answered that.
Perfect. Thank you. And you talked about a laundry list of items. So one of the questions that came through is what types of documents are needed? Like I know there are physicals that are going to be required. What would be the process just to make sure that families are on top of things? Especially now I do know getting an appointment with a doctor might take a little bit longer as well. Now that we are just out of the pandemic, can you go over a little bit of that as well, Coach?
Yeah. So there's two major, well, I'll take that back. There's three major components. One is the institutional pieces that all students do. And that includes your housing application. That includes your academic interest survey. There's some health components that the institution needs. So you got to pay very close attention to your emails and seniors coming out of high school, getting back into fully fledged email attendance multiple times a day is a skill set that's got to start to occur pretty much now. So there's the institutional pieces, academic advising, all that. But then as we get specific to athletics, there's two components. There is the medical component, and then there's the NCAA component. And so the medical component will include your medical history, your insurance information. You'll set up your insurance account through MyChart, and you'll need a physical. And this is really important. The physicals cannot occur until after July 1st. So if you make the appointment now for early July, you probably can get in time. Please, please, please do not wait until the middle of July to try and call and make an appointment for a physical. We every year have a handful of students who really, really scramble, creating a ton of stress on the transition, trying to find a physical before they come to campus if they wait too long. So do that. But again, it needs to be after July 1st. So it flows within the academic calendar for us. It is the only physical that you'll need in your 4 years at Pacific. So we recertify with our sports medicine team, our athletic trainers, our team doc. If there's no medical history addition, then you get cleared and you move on. If something occurred in your freshman year, we may have you see our team physician before getting cleared for your sophomore year. But you won't have to do that physical year in and year out like we've had to do in the past. That's been a shift. And then there is NCAA paperwork, and that is eligibility paperwork. That is understanding kind of joining the college ranks as a Division III institution, that you'll abide by the NCAA rules. And we will do an all new athlete, family, student welcome in early July, and we'll walk everybody through all of that paperwork and really kind of get everybody caught up with what needs to occur before they get here in August. So we'll give you a couple different options to get some help on that. Your coaches will continually follow up because we have a master spreadsheet that tells us every little thing that you have done or not done leading up to your arrival. And the reality is you cannot start practice until all of that stuff is completed, checked off, and your eligibility has been certified.
Perfect. Thank you. And again, those emails, checking those emails multiple times a day is something that we encourage students to get used to right now. So when they do come to the college campus, it'll be much easier. And I know Coach Buck touched a little bit on the institutional side of the forms that are required. We do have a lot of confusion because students will pay attention to the athletic components and say, I got all my paperwork, and will ignore any emails that they receive when they are here thinking, oh, all the paperwork is done. If you are getting an email saying that you need to send something in, please make sure to check it, because that means you need to send something in. Some of the paperwork that doesn't get submitted institutionally, that does mean the student's account will be on hold. And when it comes time to registering for the following semester, students won't be able to do it until those forms come in. So checking your email is going to be extremely important. And again, just to reiterate what Coach Buck said, making that appointment for after July 1st. Right now, calling the doctor's office to make sure that you are able to get that appointment in on time is going to be really, really important. That is something that we've been running into the past couple of years. Another question that I got is a student required to attend the 2 or 4 credit courses if they are in winter sports? So this is on Jan term. If they're not doing the courses, I assume that they are still required to go to practice.
Yeah, so the Jan term, and I'll start this and preface this with, I am an absolute advocate for everybody taking Jan term. And a lot of times after that first semester, students look at the winter break and think, sweet, I get to go home for 7 weeks. And if they don't take Jan term, they typically come back at the end of Jan term for the spring semester and say, wow, that was a long time at home. Once you're on your own, once you're living with your friends and your teammates and away at college, that's where you want to be. And that's where the experience and the excitement is. And so I'll preface it with, you ought to all take Jan term. It's a great way to get ahead. It's a great way to lighten your load potentially in your fall or spring season too, by taking that 2 or 4 unit class. Nobody is in my time, got done with a Jan term class and say, I wish I didn't do that. Now, as a winter sport athlete, you really are crazy if you don't take it. It's included in your tuition. You've paid for room and board as part of it. So you're literally giving away a couple of units if you don't take it, being required to be here for that winter sport. Typically swimming, wrestling, and basketball have a pretty short turnaround over the holidays in terms of getting away, because we practice and play beyond finals, and we get back right after the Christmas break. Really, we'll play sometimes basketball December 29th, December 30th, somewhere in there. So getting back and getting going for competition kind of makes it almost an imperative that you take that Jan term. And you've got plenty of time to practice and do the things you need to do and still take that class during the winter session. So yeah, and let me, for spring sports, we start in January. So baseball, softball, lacrosse, most of those sports get going in January with their preseason practices. So you're likely going to be here anyway as a spring athlete. Fall are really the ones that probably don't have required activities during January. But what occurs a lot of times is that's when pretty significant workout time occurs for football, soccer, and volleyball. Take a class in the morning and work out with your teammates in the afternoon is pretty good vibe.
Yes, and again, your tuition is already covering that. So just like Coach Beck said, take it if you're here, especially. We got a question about what can a student athlete expect in terms of hours per week required for their sport?
Yeah, and it varies in season and out of season. Definitely. I think if we're being totally truthful, you're looking at about 20 hours a week in season. The NCAA does require a day off a week. So there is one full day for you to really be academically focused 100%. Some sports take Monday or Tuesday, some use Sundays, depending on your competition schedules, to have that day off. But nobody is allowed to miss class for practice. Nobody's allowed to skip academic expectations, for a workout or a training. There is some missed class time with travel for competitions. It is very, very minimal. And the faculty are awesome in working with us when we're traveling. My time as coach, I took midterms with me on the road and proctored them at the hotel or proctored them at the airport or on the bus. And that's the level of trust that exists between the faculty and the coaching staff to make sure that we stay on track academically. And as I said at the onset, we athletically have been incredibly successful academically with an overall above 3.0 GPA as a department. So that's a feather in our cap a little bit in terms of being able to manage that. When we get out of season, depending on your sport, the non-traditional season is only 16 days. So our fall sports get 16 practices in the spring over the course of a 5-week period. So it's pretty minimal in that. And there will be some expectations for working out throughout the semester. And I don't think that that's anything overboard. You're talking an hour or two a day, 3 or 4 times a week is all you're investing in that. And I think staying busy is a key component to being academically successful. And we see it sometimes with individuals who say, I'm not going to play anymore because I want to focus on academics. Traditionally, those students actually go down GPA wise because all of a sudden they have all this free time and they're not used to managing themselves. They're used to having a schedule put in place for them. So the athletic experience, I think, really is a benefit to the academic success in achieving the goals you want to have when you walk across that stage 4 years later.
Awesome. And this is a common question that we get as well. Can athletes study abroad?
Absolutely. It is going to be a conversation with your coach. I will say this, winter sport athletes, it is brutal to try and pull off because you are going to give up half a season to do so. If you go full semester study abroad, if you're a spring or fall sport, it's really easy. You go in the off season. Fall sports will go in the spring sports will go in the fall. But what we do also have is the mini abroad program, where there's these 2 and 3 week trips, either in January or May after commencement, early June. And those are great opportunities for athletes to get a taste of study abroad without investing an entire semester away from the sport. But again, that is up to you and where you want your experience to be and what you want to accomplish in that experience. We have a tennis player that's out in Italy, I think is where she's at right now. We get them that go and do it, but the vast majority of them take advantage of those mini abroad late June, May, early June tours.
Yeah, we have a student worker who was just, he's a baseball player and he was just in Germany for fall semester and wouldn't stop sending me photos of the castle at the university that he was living in. So definitely made me a little jealous here. Can students be multiple sport athletes? How does that work?
Yeah, again, I think it's really important if you have interest in being a multi-sport athlete, which we fully support and encourage, is making sure that you're having those direct conversations with both of those coaches. If it's a fall and a spring sport, it's really easy. There's a gap that occurs that allows you to make that transition. If winter sport is involved, if you want to be a volleyball player and a women's basketball player, that gets a lot more challenging because volleyball goes till mid-November and basketball starts mid-October. So you're missing the first month of the season. They can put you behind a little bit in terms of trying to compete, trying to catch up, trying to learn. So it really is a kind of sport by sport opportunity. We have a women's basketball player that's a really successful golfer for us right now. We've got, 10 to 12 football players that are on the track team in the spring. We've got football, baseball, we've got football, wrestling. So there's plenty of opportunity to do that. It's just really important that you're upfront with each of the coaches, that's something that you're interested in doing and putting a plan in place with both of them to make sure it's achievable.
Perfect. And I know we touched a little bit about orientation. Do fall sport athletes, because they're coming in a little bit earlier, have the opportunity to participate in orientation?
Yeah, so I sit on the orientation team with you, Gina, and we meet extensively around orientation. And yes, all of our athletes participate in orientation. There are a few of the optional orientation events that soccer, volleyball, football, cross-country practices conflict with. But the things that the entire class are together at, the things that are really important in the orientation process, we make sure we get our student athletes to. And if there are a few things that schedule-wise don't perfectly match up, then we typically do those events prior to orientation and have somebody from the orientation team come to each of those athletic teams, present that information so it's not missed.
Perfect. And I know we touched a little bit about this, the forms for student athletes physical and when they needed to turn in. You mentioned that there was going to be a session for families in the summer. Can you just touch on that one more time? Yeah,
very first week of July, right after the 4th, we typically host that incoming athlete and family Zoom. We do it on Zoom. I think last year we had 250 people on the Zoom. And just, even through Zoom, a bunch of excitement about how many people are part of your incoming class that you're going to get to know and build lifelong relationships with. And the NCAA, unfortunately, doesn't release the eligibility paperwork until around then anyways. So it's paperwork that'll get done over July into the first week of August. We typically set an August 1st deadline for those. We've had to move it a little bit because the NCAA delayed getting some paperwork out last year. And the medical paperwork, we are targeting June 15th for that to go out to people. Again, with an August 1st deadline to get that into us.
Perfect. And I know communication wise, once a student deposit, they're kind of departments will start emailing the students, and the parent contact just kind of separates out a little bit. Will the parents be communicated separately as well too about all this information, or will it be the responsibility on the student to relay this information?
We really try, and I think that this is an institutional push as well as an athletic push. We really try to put this on the students. Part of going away to college is taking control of your own life and understanding those things. We also acknowledge that there are pieces to this that students need parental help to accomplish, and whether that's the FAFSA, whether that's Parent Plus loans, all the way to the medical history and insurance information for athletics. There is a partnership that has to occur. There's a communication that has to occur, but we send information directly to your Pacific email, not your Gmail account, not your Instagram link. It is going to be your pacificu.edu email. So as soon as you deposit, that is an email account that you really need to be checking multiple times a day.
Thank you. And one of the last questions we got in here is a great question. Do athletes have to pay additional fees for travel out of state to a tournament or game? What are some of the different fees that the students might have to be responsible for?
Yeah, to be honest with you, we don't have any fees for participation. The institution supports travel. The institution supports meals on the road. Is it 5-star dining? No, you might, as an athlete, have to have a little bit of extra cash to subsidize travel and, get snacks at the airport when you're traveling, or, when we're on a bus trip, stopping and having an opportunity to get some snacks beyond the meals that we provide. But no, when you're on the road, it's on us. And for the most part, we provide all uniforms, practice uniforms. We do not provide footwear, so you need to buy your cleats, basketball shoes, tennis shoes, whatever that might be. And then any necessary equipment. Typically, baseball players buy their own bats. Tennis players have their own personal rackets that they've purchased, those kind of things.
Thank you. I don't think I have any other questions that came in through me. I'm just going to make sure to do a quick scan that I didn't miss any. It looks like we were able to get through all of them. If there are any additional questions, I know we talked about deadlines and move-in dates. Again, your coaches will be in contact with the students. The video will be posted, and we'll have links to the Stiller Center video again as well. So if you wanted to take a look at it later on your own, and then our athletic website is also goboxers.com. Goboxers.com. There you go. There's a plural there. Feel free to click on that link, and you'll get some up-to-date information on what's going on right now and how the students are doing, and especially that big win for our baseball team. We're super happy to hear. But thank you again for hopping into this week's lunch with a boxer. And next week, our lunch with a boxer is going to be with academic advising. So we'll have Mike Shingle, our director of academic advising, come and talk to you about that academic interest survey that Coach Buck had mentioned earlier, and kind of all things about registration and getting to know what classes you need to take and all that good stuff. So we appreciate you, Coach Buck, for hopping in today. I know there were a lot of questions, so we appreciate you being so great in answering all of that for us. Again, this will be posted on YouTube, and if you have any questions, you can always reach out to either one of us, and we'll be more than happy to help. Thank you so much, every day, and have a great rest of the day. We'll see you next week.
Go Boxers.